Welcome to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network with your hostess, Jen Josey. Join like-minded real estate investors and accelerate your business towards greatness. You will hear step-by-step strategies for success, interviews with real estate rock stars, and we will dig deep into past projects where we bear it all, including the good, the bad, and some just plain ugly. So get excited. Here's the bestower of Badassery herself, the real Jen Josey. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Jen Josey, creator of RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Whoop, whoop. On today's episode, we have a guest that will be sharing their badassery. But before we begin, here's today's Badassery Bestowment, my little badass gift to you. Today's topic is how to find distressed properties using Zillow. If you're looking to score your next flip or snag a deal for your rental portfolio, Zillow can be a goldmine if you know where to dig. Most investors scroll past some of the best opportunities because they don't know what to look for. Here are 5 ways to spot those hidden gems and turn online browsing into your next big win. Number 1, search for keywords in the listings. Plug in words like fixer, handyman special, my favorite, as is, or needs work in Zillow's keyword search tool. These are code for distressed property and can reveal listings other investors miss. Number 2, filter for days on market. Properties that have been sitting for 60 plus days are prime targets. Sellers might be getting desperate and you could swoop in with a creative offer. Number 3, check out price drops. Look for homes with recent price reductions. Multiple drops usually means the seller is motivated or just plain tired of holding onto a problem property. Number 4, zoom in on photos. Don't skip the ugly ones. Outdated kitchens, overgrown yards, and cluttered rooms can scare off the retail buyers, but scream opportunity for investors willing to put in the work. And number 5, dig into public records. In addition to Zillow, look up property and tax records using your county's Geographical Information System, or GIS. Look for absentee owners, pre-foreclosures, or properties with long vacancy. These are often distressed and ripe for negotiation. So, RAIN Nation, remember, the best deals aren't always the prettiest on Zillow, but with a little detective work, you can find the diamonds in the rough. Get creative, stay persistent, and don't be afraid to reach out to those ugly duckling listings. Your next big profit might just be a click away. Now, on to today's episode of the Real Estate Investor Growth Network podcast. Today's guest is RAIN coach Bud Evans, a retired Air Force officer, former police officer and mayor, and now a full-time real estate investor and business owner. Bud's built a multi-million-dollar portfolio of small multifamily and Section 8 rentals and leads Second Street Property Management, a veteran-owned company managing hundreds of doors in New Jersey. He's the founder of Aim High Properties and enlisted 2 entrepreneurs where he helps veterans and first responders move from service to real estate success. Bud's also an educator running Rental Property Academy and breaking down complex real estate topics into simple, actionable steps. It's my pleasure to have him back on the show, so welcome, Bud Evans. Hello.
Hi, Jen.
How are you, my friend?
Any day I get to spend with you is a fantastic day.
The most important thing is that you left out in your bio that you are my work
husband. Husband.
Come on. You and we first met coaching through Homeschooled by Tark, which was such an awesome experience, and immediately connected. And we are definitely on the same level as far as pushing students towards success. And I just had you recently on a reignite for the RAIN Mastermind, where you shared some of your top screening techniques for tenants. And it was such a great conversation. So I truly appreciate you coming on here and continuing that conversation. So give the listeners a little background on Bud Evans, my work husband.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean, your bio pretty much killed it, but here's the thing.
and here's a picture of us.
Okay, right? Sitting right on the, there we go.
Look at my
Love
face. All right, keep going. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Listen, here's the thing. I own several companies. Second Street Property Management is the one that I kind of gravitated towards. You know how it works, Jen. Like we're in the service of others, right?
Yes.
That's kind of how I look at it. So whether it's coaching or it's helping other investors, make ends meet, we are a lower cost property management company in South Jersey. And the goal here is to make sure that we're not hitting them and taking all of their money. We want to make sure that they're actually cash flowing properties. So when it comes down to it, you got these people that are out there taking 12% plus maintenance markups plus. And we basically go, look, we're going to take 8% to manage your properties, give you a 9 to 5. And by the way, if you need a project run, yeah, we're going to have to pay somebody to do that. But other than that, we're going to introduce you to contractors that we've vetted so that you can get your stuff fixed at cost.
Huge. And I mean, having that connection, especially, so I work for a coaching program right now called Rental Property Pro, where we coach our students to invest out of state. In fact, I think I sent you a couple students who are in your area. But for out of state investors, having someone like you on their team is so very important, who has those connections with contractors, who has connections with other real estate professionals in the area to maybe buy their next property in the same area. So I just think that's super, super important. But can we back up a little bit though? Because first of all, thank you for your service. And how did you go from military to get into real estate? We also did the same education program. So give us a little background on that.
Yeah, it actually wasn't the military prepared me for it, but it wasn't the military that got me into it. It was running a small town in South Jersey, and kind of an odd sort of way, because you know how it is. You think about getting into real estate, you want to get into real estate, but you really kind of don't know how.
Right.
So when I was running the budget in Cinnamons in New Jersey, and running planning and zoning and making sure that we were within our expected enterprise plans, and bringing in all of these small businesses and these buildings, and all this stuff was going up. I was like, wow, this stuff is really awesome. And then I met a guy who was like retired, and he just owned like 5 properties. And it sparked my interest. So when the military told me I couldn't be mayor anymore, which that actually happened, I got a call on a Friday night telling me that I couldn't be mayor anymore. At 10 p.m. on a Friday night, they told me, you can't do that. You need to resign. I said, when? They said, tomorrow. Yeah. So Monday I made it official. But meeting that person, then all of a sudden now I have 40 to 50 hours of my life back, and I go, well, I always thought about getting into real estate. Might as well take action. So 2:00 in the morning, working in the Reaper Operations Center, we're watching a TV that's really not supposed to be on. And I look up, and there's this guy, Than Merrill, who I believe that you are friends with. You may know that guy. Right.
Y'all, he was our mentor, and he's going to be my 300th episode. Shout out to Than Merrill. So anyway, I'm very excited about it, but keep going.
And congratulations on that, by the way.
Thank
the 300th
you.
episode. That's a big deal.
Thank you.
Right. So, watching him, and then it said, text this number. So I don't have a phone. I'm in a top secret facility. So I wrote it down on my hand. And then I walked outside and I texted it. Next thing I know, I'm in this class. And you know how things work, Jen. It's like, I don't want to buy anything. Don't let me buy. I brought my son, who was supposed to be my anchor. Don't let me buy anything. 2 hours in, he goes, yo, you're signing up for this, right?
Total same story. I was late night, couldn't sleep, and I'm like, Vance, you got to see this. And we went, and by the end, I was like, take my money. Same thing. I'm like, we are not going to sign up for this. This is too expensive.
Yeah.
But I think you and I both agree, investing in your education is by far one of the best things we ever did.
When I tell people what I spent for that program, their heads look like they're going to explode. But I just reached out to John DiGiulio, who's the guy who ran my 3-day, who signed me up.
He ran my 3-day.
And I just sent him another I do it every October, and I just sent him another thank you note, and then we've been having a conversation. We're going to be jumping on a call here real soon, but I just texted him the other day.
Oh my goodness. Small world. That is, when did you join?
October of 2018. It was actually September 25th. My immersion course started 2018.
Okay. I did 2017. So, and John was our 3-day person as well. But you have since, we coached together for, like I said, with Homeschooled by Tark, but now you're running Rental Property Academy. Give a little shout out to what that is if people want to.
Jen,
Yeah.
I didn't get to tell you this, but I recently shut that down.
Oh, okay. Just
And I'm going to tell
kidding.
you exactly why. I have just been picked up. My consulting company has been picked up for contract with a network that I have belonged to for over 6 years. It's called the War Room. It's a mastermind. It's with David Perret.
Okay.
It's a military only, veteran only program. And I started coaching with him about a year ago. And then he recently brought me on as vice president of veteran development. So if there are any vets that are listening and they want to get ahead in real estate, please reach out to me directly. I'll make sure that you have that contact information
Perfect.
before we leave. It is not, relatively speaking to what Jen and I paid for Fortune Builders, it's not even close.
Yeah.
Not even close. It is so relatively inexpensive and the returns are incredible.
Absolutely.
So, investing in yourself, getting back to your actual question, investing in yourself and your education in real estate is paramount to getting a leg up, because anybody can try to get started. You will find more failure than you will success if you try this without, listening to someone who's done it before.
Absolutely. And thank you for reinforcing that. And also, if any of the listeners out there want to think about joining RAIN Masterminds, Bud is one of our coaches that you can always get a one-on-one strategy session call with. And so he does offer that to all the mastermind folks. So you can get your hands on him a couple different ways if you need to. So Bud, again, thank you so much for being here. One of the top things that you discussed on our recent Reignite was how you screen tenants. And I self-manage. We're just down to one long-term rental right now, but we had a small multifamily in Southern Virginia, and our property management ran it to the ground. I hate to say it, but it was just a tough situation. So do you suggest people self-manage at first or go straight into property management? How do you feel along those lines?
Yeah, I think you should definitely, when you're first starting out and you're really trying, well, number one, get a mentor. Okay. We can both
Yes.
agree with that. Okay. And then when you do that, work with that mentor to establish systems so that you can self-manage for 1, 2, maybe even up to 5 doors. The goal here though, Jen, is to never, you're not going to trade one job for another job. Would you agree with that? Right. So
Yes.
the only reason that I would tell you to self-manage initially is so that you know how the systems work, so that you know how tenants behave, so that you can embrace the suck, so that when you do pass it off to a property manager, you know exactly what they're going through and maybe you lighten up a little bit.
Embrace the suck. I love that. I agree actually 1,000%, because when it's that whole technician, technician, manager, and then entrepreneur, the pyramid and the E-myth.
Yes.
And I do think you have to go through that technician stage to make sure you manage those people to your best extent. So I do love that you said that. So you have a very extensive screening system, but let's start with the basics. Why is screening tenants such a critical part of your investment strategy?
Yeah. And here's why, because, well, let's start with the consistency. Okay. Because inconsistency opens you up and exposes you. When you are applying different standards to different people, to different, number one, you can get in trouble if it's a housing violation, fair
Right.
housing violation. It will become inevitable. You will actually, even if it's accidental, you will do that. You will cross a line. The thing that we look at here is one of our staff members is going to focus on credit scores. Another one's going to focus on, this is like back in the beginning, right? Somebody's looking at debt to income ratio. Thirds looking at it through a gut feeling, right? And never the three shall meet. And that's a recipe for disaster. Variability doesn't just create chaos. It actually creates legal liability. Then you're looking at incomplete data analysis. When you're not systemized, you're going to be missing documents. You're going to be going back and forth. Maybe you have a lease signed, maybe you don't have a lease signed. The communication, the lack of thereof, is going to frustrate your tenants. It's going to frustrate you. It's going to frustrate, if you're Section 8, you're going to frustrate the community housing or DCA or whatever your state calls it. And it's going to slow your deal velocity, because it's going to create hard times for you trying to place tenants. And then the last part of that is this: the failure to document effectively when you don't have systems in place, your screening is going to be problematic. If you don't have documented rationale for why you did or did not choose a tenant, you're going to wind up in court. They can challenge your reasoning, and a judge looks at a couple of different things, but for the most part, it's processes and paperwork. And if you have those in order, it's a lot easier to get through a legal battle showing that you've done it. Not only have you done it right with this case, but you can bring in other files and say, we've done it this way with this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. And that's why this person needs to get the heck out of my house. Otherwise it's expensive, Jen.
Oh, I believe it. And, it's staying in line with your processes here. You introduced us to this 100-point scoring system that you use. And I think this blew my mind. So can you just walk that through with the listeners, what that 100-point scoring system looks like?
Sure. We rate people on 5 criteria. Okay. First is income stability. They'll get 25 points if they're perfect, right? If you have your income meets 3 times the rent, it's consistent, and you show a consistent employment history, and you have stable deposit patterns, right? So if you have auto deposit, you're going to score a 25. If you've been at a place for a long period of time, you're going to get that. If you haven't been at a place for more than a year, you're going to score a little lower, but that's okay. There are other ways to make that up. The second thing that we offer 25 points for is credit quality. So it's your credit score, your payment history. Do you have any collections or charge-offs? And then your debt to income ratio. And not only debt to income, but also debt to expense, because we want to make sure that when you move into the property, that your total expenses don't cross a 65% of your total income plateau, because when you do, you're more likely not to pay.
Oof.
Right. One problem, one car breakdown, pick one emergency situation, you're not going to pay your rent.
Crown that just cost me $800. How about that? There's
right. Yeah, exactly. And then what's the first thing they don't pay? Well, it's not groceries, it's rent.
Right.
Now, the next criteria is your criminal background. Now in New Jersey, we have a different set of standards. We're allowed to pull your income. We're allowed to pull your credit score. We have to ask your permission to run your criminal background. That is a second step. Okay. But if you don't provide that, then we won't rent to you. Now we're looking for severity and the level of criminal history. So, misdemeanors, it's kind of like stuff happens, right?
Right.
But we're looking for, like, if you have like a forcible felony and burglary, armed robbery, rape, murder, that kind of stuff.
Right.
You're not, no, sorry. But the nature of offense, the fact we're looking for rehabilitation evidence. Like, did you come out and you hold a job and you haven't been back in trouble in the last 2-3 years? It's usually 3 years if it's a felony.
Mm-hmm.
If you've done it, if you've stayed clean for 3 years and you have employment for 3 years and you show that your income is good and your credit score is back up again, then you'll probably score a 20 on that. But if you have always been clean, you're going to get a 20. Right?
Gotcha.
Next is your rental history.
So we're at 25, 25, 20. So this is going to be.
Yeah. So it's 5 criteria: 25, 25, 20, 20, 10.
Okay. So this one's 20.
Yeah. This one's 20. So criminal background was 20. Rental history is 20. Have you ever been evicted? Do you have landlord references? That is not your brother or your first cousin. And we will find out, because we do look at your social media, right? People finder, I can look up a phone number. So if you're giving me your landlord's phone number and it happens to be your mom, you are not getting my apartment. Prior evictions is important, right? Obviously. Lease violations. Now you can find that out by contacting the prior landlord. And a lot of landlords think that it's illegal to provide you with this information, but it's not. It is not illegal to provide me with the fact that they have had lease violations, and that is why they haven't rented to you again. So even if they feel uncomfortable, you can say, okay, if you feel uncomfortable with that, let me just ask you one question. Then you can answer yes or no. Would you rent to them again? And if the answer is no, goodbye. Property damages, right? Are there judgments against them for that? Or have there been criminal charges against them for that? Property damage, we just had someone steal a refrigerator out of our house. And then when they got judgment against them and they got evicted, they got locked out, they kicked in the back door to steal the refrigerator. So needless to say, we're going to court on that one. We are pressing charges for burglary because it is burglary. and then notice compliance, right? So if they are prohibiting us from getting the property inspected, which is required by townships, or Section 8, they have their inspections as well.
Right.
And they do not allow you to enter the premises, and you get a notice for it, and they have been notified about it, and they are not complying with that notification, then, that's a problem, right? So we will either, like with HCVs, with housing choice vouchers, we will just tell their manager, hey, listen, we're done.
Right.
And then most likely that'll end up in an eviction, but they'll leave usually, because here's what's going to happen. If they have a housing choice voucher and I do not renew them, and then I have to evict them, they will lose their voucher.
Right.
Now, the last thing is file completeness, and this is 10 points.
This one cracks me up.
Right? If I ask you for 5 documents and you give me 4, you get a deduction. If I ask you to fill out, because you tell me you have a pet, but you won't tell me what kind, and I sent you over to petscreener.com, and you refuse to fill that out, or here's the best, and this happens. Can you believe this would happen? Someone sends you a veterinary letter with a header, and it doesn't exist. Yeah, true story. Here's my veterinarian. Okay. Can you upload that into the system? Yeah, thank you. Hey, Veronica, do me a favor, run that. Yeah, but there's nobody, that's not a real address.
Wow.
Right? That's not a real vet. Okay, guess what? We're not only not going to give you 10, we're going to give you a 0, and we're probably going to kick you out because integrity is part of our screening process.
Huge. And following directions, if they can't follow directions to get in to the property, are they going to follow directions when they're leaving the property and things like that? So that's such a huge red flag. So it's so important that you do include that as well. But another thing you discussed, or did you, I want to keep going forward here, but another thing you discussed was incorporating AI in the screening process.
Yes.
And AI is everywhere and does so much in so many different venues, but how do you use it when screening tenants?
So within ChatGPT, we created a project. It's very simple to do. I've created my own GPTs as well for like real estate consulting and things like that. But within ChatGPT, so it doesn't use other information and kind of skew your results, you can shut off a project. So it cannot pull from other sources besides what you tell it to pull from. It will not pull from your other chats. It will not pull from the other GPTs you've used. It won't pull from any of the information that you use in other projects. And if you're using the paid version, which I would highly recommend within ChatGPT, version 5.2, even though there are still hallucinations within the system, it still gives you a really good answer.
So why is it important to have it separated from your other chats?
Because there are privacy issues that we really need to attack and ensure. So like personally identifiable information, for example, if there are bank transactions with transaction codes in it, they need to be redacted. Gotcha. If you have a name, an address, a date of birth, a social security number, they need to be redacted. What we do is we assign our tenants, potential tenants, we'll assign them a number, and then we'll use that number for tracking. But everything else that is personally identifiable, including email and cell phone numbers, are off. They're
Gotcha.
not on there at all.
Gotcha.
Okay. And when we plug those in, we look at specific thresholds. Like we will look for your bank statements. We will verify that. We'll make sure that one of the easiest things in the world to do now with AI is to verify that 65% income to expense threshold.
Interesting.
Yeah, because we can put in 3 months of bank statements and within seconds have an answer as to how they're living, whether or not their deposits are, similar every month, and then whether or not their expenses exceed that 65%.
Very cool. What else can you throw into the chat GPT?
Yeah, pretty much everything that we're looking for within that, right? And we we have our matrix and it's all set up and it's in our instructions in that project. If they do this, you will list them based on this, and they will be between 0 and 25.
Oh,
for
so
this
everything
particular criteria
goes into this 100% checkpoint.
Yep.
Oh, okay. I got it.
Yeah. Yeah. If you are below a 70, we will not even look at you. 70 is a borderline approval. We are really looking for people with an 80 and above.
Okay.
We're looking for the C student, right? If you are below 70, like 50 to 69, It depends. If you are a Section 8 tenant who has a relatively clean history, but no credit history to speak of because you've never applied for a credit card and you've
Right.
never had a car loan, well, your credit score is going to be 600 maybe. So we do weigh that. So we'll look at that in that 50 to 69 range. Below 50, not a shot. You've got no shot at all.
So, can you share like a story when one of these scoring, like where AI has helped you catch something that maybe you would have missed otherwise?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So we had someone who was trying to rent one of our Ohio apartments, and we pinged based on the criminal history. Now, one of the things that we threw in there that we missed was a lower level felony, but it was 3 months old. Now,
Oh,
when we initially looked, it wasn't there, but when he came in and he actually filled out the actual application, it popped. We
gotcha.
dropped it into AI. We missed it. The human missed it. And we picked that up. Now we went back to the guy and said, okay, listen, we understand that you're in a transitional phase because he had done his halfway house time,
Good.
right? His felony was a follow-on felony that he was charged with from a previous felony. So now that was in the and we verified this. So we had to verify it with the court that, hey, this was accidental. It's actually part of this other issue. We'll call it an issue that he had before. And it's rectified, and he's gone through his halfway house process and all that. And we said to him, you've been at the same employment for like 13 years. You've got credit score that is about a 700. And he met the remainder of the criteria. It was just that one issue
Gotcha.
that we missed. But when we verified it, it was the AI that picked up on it, which started that process. And we verified that everything was actually not what it looked like. And we rented him the apartment. It actually saved him as opposed to not, because if we'd have been looking at it the other way and that application pops, we're like, oh, 3 months. Sorry, you're out.
Right. Wow. So, on the flip side, have there been any surprises or lessons learned from just relying on that data and automation?
Yeah. So I will tell you that our vacancy has gone way down, way down. We're at 3.6.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Very cool.
Yeah. 3.6% vacancy. And the vacancies that we've had recently have not been problematic. They've been people moving.
Gotcha. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. So since we've been using this, we've had people that have been occupying our apartments, our single family homes, multifamily dwelling spaces for, 3 years or so since
What,
we've been using the process.
where is Second Street property? I mean, because you just mentioned an Ohio property, and I think one of the students I sent you is in Philly. So,
Yeah.
where do you manage properties?
We manage properties in South Jersey exclusively, but I
Okay.
am allowed to self-manage properties in Ohio. I do invest in Ohio.
Ah,
So that Second Street Property Management self-manages our properties in Ohio.
gotcha. Gotcha. All right. So, for the landlords out there who do self manage their properties, what's one thing that they can start right away if they are not ready to jump into AI?
Yeah, start collecting information and set your systems up. Okay. And as you're setting your systems up, and this is important, while you're going through your processes, no matter how you're vetting them, it can be a spreadsheet, right? Use your grading criteria. But one software that I'm going to recommend, it's online. It's called scribe.com. And
Ah,
as you're going through your process, create your SOPs, your standard operating procedures. Every time you click on the screen, it will screen capture, and then you will use AI to title it and give you a description of exactly what it was that you did. And then you will have an entire process from the beginning to the end. And you can do this one time and then turn it over to your VA later on and say, this is how I do X, right? So this is how I onboard a client. Click, 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 right? Now, then you take that, you print it into a PDF, you put it into the folder, and if they need a Loom video, you can hyperlink that on your PDF.
very, very cool. Well, I appreciate you sharing all of that information, and something that I did not ask you to discuss, but I'm really hoping you will. You have a very extensive lease that you use, and there are items on there that, like, one nugget you shared on during our reignite was that if part of the lease, when they are getting ready to move, so 30 days prior to them vacating the property,
Mhm.
you have written in the lease that you are allowed to show the property to prospective tenants.
Tenants. That's correct.
And I was like, God, that is genius to put in there, something that I would not think of doing. There's also the 250 rule, things like that. So what are just some quick little nuggets, because you are so good at this, Bud, that people should start including in their leases?
Yeah. So there are several things. Obviously, there are legalities with every state. So check your state rules on this. One thing I will tell you is that if you are using the base state template, you are leaving yourself open to a myriad of different issues. For example, what are the prohibited breeds for dogs?
Chihuahua.
Exactly, right? Because those little suckers bite.
They do. They're vicious.
No, but there are, and talk to your insurance company, because if there are, like, we have 4 breeds in New Jersey that if we were to put them in our tenants or in our clients' apartments, it would raise their insurance rates dramatically, from like $1,200 to $1,500 per year to $8,000 per year.
Ooh.
Right?
Wow.
Now, obviously, this may differ in different areas, but like German Shepherds, Doberman Pinschers, Rottweilers, and Pit Bulls. Now, I love Pit Bull. My Rosie was a pit. I loved her. She was a little cuddly bear. I loved her. But I put her in that apartment, and all of a sudden, the insurance goes up.
And it also says no cats. Why is that?
Yes, cats spray.
That is true.
Right? So the only way that they're allowed to have a cat is if it's spayed or neutered.
Gotcha. All right.
Right?
So tell us about the $250 repair thing.
Absolutely. We have an addendum within our lease that's a maintenance addendum. They're responsible for, now, major repairs. We are aware of what those would be, right? Like your sink, the faucet pops off and there's water spraying everywhere. That's on us. Okay. Your HVAC system goes out. Again, on us, unless you have not been changing the filters. We have a program for that too, where we have filters delivered quarterly with dates on them. So
smart.
Yeah. So they will deliver a filter every quarter, and then we can walk into the property biannually and see if there are filters in there. And if there are, and what the last date on the filter was, when we pull it out, we can double check that.
Gosh, that is so smart.
Right. So, but the other part of it, now that's part of that maintenance agreement. They're required to do certain things within the apartment, like change the stupid filters, like clean. If they're using a washer and a dryer in your apartment, I do not provide washers and dryers.
Yeah.
I do not provide them. And here's the other thing. If there are appliances in your house and you live there in excess of 3 years, those appliances are yours.
Wow. All right. So tell the $250 threshold.
Yeah. So here's the thing. If someone pops a drawer, right, they pull the front of the drawer off, right, and the repair is less than $250, it's on you. If you pop off some trim, because 9 times out of 10, Jen, you know how this works.
Yeah.
You have trim nails, right? And they're probably glued, and you have the trim nails put in there. If that's popping off a wall, that doesn't happen by accident. So It's like, okay, great. You did this. It's under $250. Take care of that. Get that put back on. If you want us to do it, we're going to do it, but it's probably going to cost you a little bit more. And that's in the lease. Anything below $250 is a you problem, not a me problem. And anything above $250, we will investigate it. And if we find that it's a you problem, we're going to put it onto your rent.
Got it. And this is from several conversations ago. You talked about a screen door where one of them broke the screen door, and I think you just went there and took it off or something. But there's like a new, like, I'm not talking about the sliding glass doors, but the screen doors. So explain that one.
Yeah. So this happens a lot. And I just had this conversation the other day. A friend of mine manages over 1,000 doors in Ohio, and he's finding the exact same thing. I don't know why people abuse screen doors, Jen. It should be considered some form of domestic abuse. We put these screen doors on there, and they're not inexpensive. They're not really expensive, but they're meant for one thing. In the summertime, you can pop your door open and you can have a nice breeze coming through your house.
Right.
Why do you feel the need to rip off the door handle? But they break the door handle, or they rip the screen, or they break the glass that's on the top. It's just a bunch of different problems. So what happens is, when that happens, we will say, okay, well, you lost that.
You just take it.
We take it off.
I love that. I think
Can
that's
I get
hilarious.
a screen? No, go buy one on Amazon. Buy one of the magnetic ones.
Well, I appreciate you taking a left turn there because I just know you always have great stories that go along with things. You have all these real world situations because I feel like you have been through it all if it has to do with tenants. So before we go to the second part of the podcast here, though, you just got hired to speak at the National RIA Conference. Let's talk real quick about that. And can people go and hear you speak? What is that event about?
Yeah. So the national RIA, so every state, has their official RIA. Well, you can join the national, right? And you probably should if you're running a RIA. Ask Lisa Romano about that. I'm pretty sure that she's got Connecticut is involved, right? Well, for some reason, my name got out there for guess what? AI and real estate. So I will be speaking. I'm being paid to speak on a cruise ship, which is cool. It's a 9-day engagement from the 1st to the 8th. I'll be speaking on a cruise ship leaving out of Miami, hitting the Dominican Republic, St. Kitts, and St. Thomas.
So this is just for the people who lead RIAs.
I believe, I believe so.
Okay.
I believe it's just if you're a member of the RIA, I believe they can put it out there and sign it, but you have to be on committee or you've got to be a member of the board, I believe.
What a huge honor. And now you're going to be traveling the country because I'm sure all these RIA folks are going to see you. So if you need anyone else on there to discuss anything, you could throw a
I might happen to know a nice little redhead.
So, and last thing before we go to the second part of the podcast here, I mentioned it in your intro. You have a YouTube channel. You have enlisted the number 2 entrepreneur. So your YouTube channel is just full of so many amazing nuggets. So tell everyone what the YouTube channel is just so they can follow you.
Yeah. So the YouTube channel is for, beginners. Usually I cater to veterans and first responders, but, civilians can get a lot of information out of it as well. Yeah. Here's the thing. I'm trying to provide as much value as possible for free. Right. Trying to get people involved in real estate because it's been so good to us. So now we've been putting out 1 video per week, just set up my team. We're going to be putting out 2 videos per week coming up here shortly. We currently have about 3,200 subscribers, started with 196 last December. So within a year, we put on over 3,000. Wow. And then we're kind of hoping that the views will increase so that we can help more people do more things. I closed my mentorship down. I'll just take one-off calls here and there because working with the War Room now has been so gratifying, helping other veterans get to, helping them, get out of the rat race so that because the retirement is adequate, and the thrift savings plan is okay. But what I don't want is these guys coming out, and guys and girls, they're all busted up. You know what I mean? It's very difficult and your back is killing you. Your knees are trashed. So I want to make sure that they have an alternative, that if they don't want to get another job, that they can just create their own lives.
Well, you make such a difference to so many people in here, including myself. So I do truly appreciate all that you offer. You give away so much for free, so much of your time. And so, Bud, I truly thank you for that. We are going to move to the second part of the podcast here, which is what makes Bud Evans a badass. And I use the acronym BADASS. And the first letter is B for book. What is a book that's made a huge difference in your life?
Well, I mean, I could say Rich Dad Poor, but that's just silly. You already mentioned, the E-Myth, which is great. I can look behind me and I've got a ton of them.
I see a couple good ones up there.
4-Hour Work Week. I got our friend David Richter's book up here. Any one of them. The bottom line is this. Let's say this. Anything by Gino Wickman, because I am a huge proponent of the EOS model, the way I run my companies. And what I'm finding is not only does it keep my team on track with our scorecards, but it also with the vision traction organizer that we use, where are we going to be in 10 years, 5 years, 3 years, and how do we get there this year by starting today? That's our vision traction organizer. And then all of our scorecards, all of our to-dos, everything is based on those rocks. What do we need to hit by quarter 1 to ensure that at year 1, we hit the numbers that we have down on this piece of paper?
Huge.
Write your goals down and tell everybody what your goals are. Put it out there.
Absolutely. Very, very important. And the book that I've read by Gino Wickman is Traction. So I just want to reinforce that and make sure we get that title out there. So, all right. The first A in Badass is for advice. You've given us excellent advice, but I'm curious, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Take action. Don't wait. And not just from Tarek. but it's a military saying as well. The Fortune Builders motto, I mean, all the stuff that we've learned. If you don't stand on the sidelines and wait for things to happen, jump in there, jump in the deep end. Sometimes it's easier to learn how to swim.
Yep. Take action. Take massive action. I love that.
Yep.
All right. The D in badass is for drive. What drives you to be successful?
Service of others.
And you are so truly good at that. So thank you. All right. The second A in badass is aspiration. I'm a big goal setter. So you just mentioned this. What's a goal that you are currently working on?
To be completely debt free. Now, I don't have a mortgage on my house anymore, but I have a small HELOC on it. So to be completely debt free, except for the HELOC, by the end of let me say this. I'm gonna put this out there, Jen. My goal was to have that done by December 31st of 2026, and I'm going to say it out loud right now to make it come into place. By the end of Q2, I will be debt free.
Whew. All right. We're going to hit replay in July and see where you are on that. Excellent. But thank you for that. All right. The first S in badass is for systems. You are such a systems guy. So what systems do you have in place to help you achieve success? What's the most important system that you have in place? Let's start there.
Going back to it, it's well, I'll give you two. Okay. First is I use Quicken for my own personal budget, right? So having a budget, I also double that up. I have a spreadsheet that I use for forecasting. So budgeting and forecasting are huge. The other thing that I use is an online program called EOS One. It's it's app.eos1.com, I believe. Again, it's a Gino Wickman thing. It is an EOS model. If you are having problems implementing that process, that is the place to go. They have a bunch of videos, and should your business start to grow exponentially, they can help you with implementers. And hopefully I'll be one of those.
Very, very cool. Well, I, excuse me, could talk to you all day, bud. You know that. But the final S in badass is for success. What does success mean to Bud Evans?
Jenna, I would love to say that there's like a number involved with that. I don't want to be vague about it. I've already achieved it. I have friends, I have family, I have faith, I'm physically fit, and I have fun. So they're my five Fs. Right?
Well, I am very proud to have you as an F as my friend, and I do truly appreciate you. If the listeners want to reach out to you, if they have questions, what's the best way for them to find you?
Go to budevans.com, friend me through Facebook, and then DM me. That's actually the fastest way to get through to me. If you're looking for a one-off coaching call, that's the way to get through to me. I'll be able to send you a link. If you're looking for a free strategy session, I will tell you that I'm booked about 4 weeks out. So going to budevans.com and trying to book a strategy session is going to be very difficult right now.
Bud, I am just truly grateful for you and your friendship. And I know many of the listeners are grateful to you as well for all that you provide, all the free stuff that you give away, and all your knowledge. So thank you so much for being here today.
It's a pleasure, Jen. I love you.
I love you more. And that is all. Thank you for listening. And we'll catch you on the next episode. Now go out there and share your badassery. And don't forget, make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you for listening to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. If you need more badassery, you can follow Jen Josey by visiting therealjenjosey.com or become a member of RAIN by registering on rainmastermind.com.